Transformers, all the movies.
Blink.
I remember this.
The movie version, because the others make my head hurt. And it's the second movie because I got a little angry at storytelling or lack thereof. Anyway, yeah, so second movie. Anyway. It had been a long time since he had done any negotiating. Longer still since he tried to do it while facing the threat of heavily armed assault by an angry comrade who, for all intents and purposes, could very well have been classified as an irritable, grumbling tank. In all honesty, he wasn't even sure he was up for the task. It would require a great deal of careful words, calm temper, and time. Very much time. None of these things could be had in abundance at the moment. None of my guys are up for the job, the Major had said. He'd run a hand through his hair, glancing around, while the other humans ran across the tarmac and hangar floor as if in a carefully controlled panic. I can't spare anyone. Really, just do us all a favor and give it a shot. It's hard enough getting him up on one of these birds when he's not pissed off. Thus, he'd reluctantly agreed to take up the role of diplomat. Logically, he knew he was the best for the job. The only other being who may have sufficed was in a place no one else could reach. The others were all nervous, unsure of what to do in the absence of real leadership. Squaring his shoulders, he'd stepped into the dim hangar interior, barely remembering to duck under some of the superstructure before it let an untimely end on the front of his neon-plated skull. It was hard not to locate what he sought. For all the activity scurrying around the entire base, one particular corner was conspicuously empty of all life, save for a hulking, seething shape, a mass of black armor and weaponry. Even with the initial placating, the huge cannons of his comrade were still primed. The dent in the black, soundproof walls showed great evidence of physical abuse. At his approaching footsteps, the figure turned, shooting him a look that could very well have melted his own alloyed armored plating at close range. He stopped, clasping his hands behind his back, calmly meeting the glare with a blank expression. The figure merely grunted, turning back to the wall. My answer is still no, he said. That isn't why I'm here, he answered, carefully keeping the reprimanding tone out of his voice. What is it then? I need to have a reason to wish to speak with you now? There was no response other than a low, rumbling growl better suited to a revving engine than a sentient, albeit angry being. Have you calmed down? He asked, forging on. Now his tone was lighter, gently mocking. He knew how and when to push his friend. Or shall I inform the soldiers that they have one more threat to their security to worry about? I'm fine. You're lying. Maybe I am. There was a beat of silence. They sent you, didn't they? Oh, he would make this difficult, wouldn't he? Ironhide. You speak for them now, Ratchet, the cowards, the traitors? I speak for the Major and his men, answered the medic, returning to a more soothing tone. They are concerned about you, about all of us. Quite understandable, considering. More silence, weighing heavier than the two of them combined. Neither one glanced out toward where the body lay. When no interruption was offered, Ratchet went on, attempting to pry deeper into the matter. I fail to see how, even in that head of yours, they've become traitors, he said. It's not them, Ironhide retorted. The others, they turn their backs on us, on the boy, on Prime. They treat us like drones. A calculated silence in which the old warrior's anger was nearly tangible. He looked up, back to the medic, glaring, one optic bright, sharply focused, in contrast to the scars on the other. They called him Scrap. Yes, I know, I was there. Trying to be the voice of reason, telling him the truth that he was most likely ignoring. I doubt, however, they realized what they were saying. You cannot fault the human for that. Watch me. You're being a stubborn old fool. How can they just allow this to happen? Ironhide growled, huge shoulders flexed, hands tightening. One of the cannons began to whir softly, its interior glowing a dull orange. Have they no honor left? The others, they allow themselves to be treated like mere machines. Ratchet shook his head as much as the sight of the loading Autobots before him and his friend. They are afraid, he said, and then frowned briefly, amending his statement. Well, perhaps not Sideswipe. Sometimes I doubt he's capable of feeling much more than his own self-importance. But the others, they're feeling lost, I think, without him. I'm just going to stop there.
Yeah.